Testing statistical hypothesis for proportion. Number 1, in a sample of 402 World Campus .200 students, 174 were Pennsylvania residents. Is the proportion of Pennsylvania residents in the population of all World Campus .200 students different from 0.50? Step 1. Checking assumptions. NP is equal to 402 times 0.50, that is equal to 201. N times 1 minus P is equal to 402 times 1 minus 0.50, and that is equal to 201. Hypothesis. Your null hypothesis involves P equal to 0.50 and the alternative hypothesis involves P unequal to 0.50. Both assumptions have been met and all is greater than 10, so we can use normal approximation method. Step 2. Calculation of the test statistic. P hot is equal to 0.4238, P naught is 0.50, N is 402. Z is equal to P hot minus P naught over the square root of P naught times 1 minus P naught over N. That is equal to 0.4328 minus 0.50 over the square root of 0.50 times 1 minus 0.50 over 402 will be equal to negative 0.0672 over 0.0249. It will be equal to negative 2.6947. Step 3. Determine the p-value. Z is equal to negative 2.6947 by looking at the Z table. Two-tailed test. Z is less than negative 2.69, which is equal to 0.0036, and P, where you have Z greater than positive 2.69, is equal to 0.0036. P is 0.0072, which is sum of the two values. Step 4. Decide between the null and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis involves P is equal to 0.50 and the alternative hypothesis has your P unequal to 0.50. P value is 0.0072, where P is less than or equal to 0.05 as a standard alpha value, so we reject the null hypothesis. Step 5. State conclusion. Yes, there is evidence to state that the proportion of all World Campus .200 students who are Pennsylvanian residents is different from 0.50. Number 2. Are more than 80% of Americans right-handed? Step 1. Check any necessary assumptions and write null and alternative hypothesis. Is more than 80% of Americans right-handed? The null hypothesis, P is less than or equal to 0.80 and the alternative hypothesis having P is greater than 0.80. This is a right-tailed test because we want to know if the proportion is greater than 0.80. Step 2. Calculate an appropriate test statistic. P hot is equal to 0.87, P naught is equal to 0.80, and N is equal to 100. Z is equal to P hot minus P naught over the square root of P naught times 1 minus P naught over N. This is equal to 0.87 minus 0.80 over the square root of 0.80 times 1 minus 0.80 over 100. All of this will be equal to 1.75. Step 3. Determine the p-value associated with the test statistic. P, where you have Z greater than or equal to 1.75 is equal to 1 minus 0.9599. This will be equal to 0.0401. Step 4. Decide between the null and alternative hypothesis. P-value is less than or equal to 0.05, so you reject the null hypothesis. Step 5 Conclusion. Yes, there is statistical evidence to state that more than 80% of Americans are right-handed.